All right. Good day, everyone. As the former speaker told that the noise, especially in the social media and information noise, may be annoying or may damage the reputation of your brand, I am going to talk about that information noise might be dangerous for the integrity of the state, and this kind of noise can be lethal, especially lethal if you have a military conflict as we do in Ukraine. And the crisis communications have been the staple of Ukrainian political communications for the last 2 years. So, What do you think are the two most favorite words of almost every military commander or officer when talking to the media? It's no comment. They love to just abstain from any comment whatsoever, not comment anything, and it's better not to just approach the soldiers or the officers because they just don't want to talk to the media. Unfortunately for them, it doesn't work this way anymore. Any kind of news, especially if you have so many people with their smartphones, and when almost every second soldier has a smartphone in his hand on the front line, he can post, he can say that the commanders might lie, or he may just express his genuine grievance that he's sitting there on the front line and some other guys having a good time back in the capital in Kiev. So how do you approach that? How do you convince first your own army and then the entire nation that it has a worthy defenders and the communications are actually in the hands of the government, not in the hands of another state which wages war against Ukraine? So, let me give you a small background, even though I guess most of you will know about that we had a revolution that started from one Facebook post. That sort of tells a lot about the influence of the social media today. And immediately after the violent clashes, as a result of which the new government was installed and the former authoritarian president escaped to Russia, the Crimean Peninsula got annexed by Russian special ops, special servicemen, and then the military conflict unfolded in eastern Ukraine. One of the biggest features was the sense of panics, which was instigated by Facebook posts, by a wave, a tide of different news features produced by the Russian media. And it wasn't limited just to TV and conventional TV channels, radio stations, and so on, but it was spread via the social media. And lots of local people believed in that. You probably heard about the most popular fake information about the sort of crucified boy in one of the eastern towns. Even though the report was absolute lie, it inspired many people to go and fight against the Ukrainian army. The more recent one is something that happened in Germany when a Russian girl was allegedly raped by Syrian refugees. And Russian media used this narrative to provoke different kinds of negative comments about the EU and the policy on the refugees. It turned out the entire report was a lie, but still it was used very skillfully by the Russian media. So this is one of the iconic pictures of the annexation of Crimea. You can see the Russian soldiers pointing their guns at one Ukrainian soldier. He's in a very bad Soviet-style uniform. He doesn't carry a weapon. He's genuinely confused how the neighbor state may invade without declaring any kind of war. But it sort of captures in what state Ukraine has been 2 years ago, without the army as such, without the modern equipment, and being absolutely incapable of mounting defense. However, 2 years after, you see a different picture. The first one at the top, you can see the parade on the Independence Day last August, and the one at the bottom is the demonstration of how the West has supported the country over the whole time, providing military equipment, financial, military assistance, as well as a humanitarian aid. These pictures are now not just some kind of things that you capture, but are tools to show the people how Ukraine is not alone. And this is one of the crucial things for us as people working in the administration to project the image of capable military, enjoying the support of the West. So how do you make a trustworthy army amid the information war, especially if you started from a really unbeneficial positions that People don't trust you. People don't really trust the government as well, and that's one of the similar things that I have heard about Moldovan politics and many politics in general. People don't believe they are politicians because they get fooled so many times. There are key things to bear in mind, especially when dealing with social media, that nothing is small to ignore. Any minor thing may escalate into a huge information bomb. Then another thing is if there is a problem, you may not take it seriously. You can mock it, you can make fun of it, and it's going to be much more shareable because people love to share more positive emotions than negative ones. Then there is a cross-platform engagement. So instead of just issuing a press release, although I realize that most of you even, well, don't consider press release as a source of information, but for the government, it has been a huge step forward to come up with some of the digital tools. And finally, invent new traditions, invent new narratives, provide new pictures, like the Independence March or other celebrations at exhibitions that promote the values that you want to. If you fail to do that, the effect might be explosive. It just, the ramifications of that. For instance, one of the incidents that we had last December, the group of pro-Russian proxies, the militants, entered into one of the villages in eastern Ukraine, Kominternovo. It is a small place, not significant from the military point of view, but still there were people living there. Once the militants came into the village, entered it, then there was a huge wave in the social media that the army doesn't do any kind of thing to protect the people, that the government is horrible and you have to do something. Even some of the ministers who have a reputation of being Facebook ministers because they spend so much time in Facebook started to undermine the entire narrative, saying that everything is absolutely terrible. And that's why you have to react really quickly. If you fail to do so, it's going to be much harder to convince people that you're controlling the environment. It's going to be other party, in this case Russia, that dictates its conditions. Other thing is that the government and the public officials, especially if you talk about the military, they're very conservative. And if you're a journalist, you probably saw that you file a media request and you have to wait a lot of time to get a response. And when you get a response, it's usually meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. It has all these abstract, round phrases. And one of the dangers is that there are some confidential information. Let's see the setting up of these special forces in Ukraine, a brand new military unit, but it ceased to be private. You have to share. You have to update people of how it works and why it is necessary. And finally, internal becomes external. When almost every soldier has a phone or has a relative who can post stuff, you cannot hide problems in the army. They automatically go to the media, and then you have to sort of have this combined approach of dealing internally as well as externally. I want to tell you a lot about using humor, because I love when jokes turn productive, especially if we talk about really sad events like war and conflict. And one of the best examples is there was a Russian fake in December 2015 that from January 1st, from the new year, Ukraine will be covered by total mobilization. So every male aged from 16 to 60 years old is going to join the military and be forced to fight in the East. It was a lie, but instead of just filing a press release which won't have any coverage at all, the Facebook page where we helped to contribute to this team of the general staff decided to use humor. And they told, well, males will not be mobilized from January 1st, neither women will be mobilized, neither their pets will be mobilized, and if you spread the fake information, the Father Christmas and Saint Nicholas will never come to you and give presents. So it got shared a lot. It got over 4,500 shares. Another example is the great meme, if you remember, This Is Bill, with a grown-up man, which is like, this is Bill, he's great, he's smart, be like Bill. The general staff used a similar model and told, this is Mykola, he saw some incredible information from unverified source, but he's smart, he doesn't spread it further, be like Mykola. So these kind of things actually attracted a lot of attention of the people. They love to be associated with smart people who don't spread some fabricated information, as well as it's something that appeals to them. Another aspect is infographics, because this is a crucial element to bridge the gap between the military and the civil population. And it was task of our team of the project called One Voice Policy at the presidential administration to provide as easy and as colorful description of what we are doing with the army, how we change it. You can see that the uniform has changed dramatically with the soldiers, or there are discussions about the Army Reserve and which model take, the Swiss, the Israeli, or Estonian. So these are the accessible formats that were pioneered in the government. As well as marking the days of airborne forces or tank troops, you just get nice pictures, some of the stories of the battles and the heroes, like the airborne paratrooper or tank driver, and people will start to see not just an institution, but the people behind it and how they conduct heroic deeds to save the country. Finally, I want to tell you more about military as art. I would love to just encourage you to go to the website secondfloor.gallery, and that's one of the projects that we have been developing in the last couple of months of the exhibitions in the presidential administration, art exhibitions. Many of them promote military heroes and military deeds of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. And you can see the pictures from there. That's of two exhibitions, one per Ukrainian soldiers and others of replicating different masterpieces of the Renaissance art, just showing you how you can transform something being very conservative into engaging and just appealing to the people. And the last one is inventing traditions. You maybe saw this picture, it's Independence Parade, and well, parade tradition is something that we had for almost 2 centuries, but on the top of that, we added media campaigns. So there is we realized the importance of using digital tools in a way that you can make video clips, social media trends, as well as like Twitter flash mob and Twitter storms, to promote these traditions. And being in conflict, these kind of images stimulate not just the trust of the people to the government and their patriotism, but also it helps to tackle any fabricated information, because on the other hand, you can see these pictures, you can see visual evidence that Ukraine is not a failed state and it has a formidable army. And of course, don't forget about the soldiers-generated content. They love to take pictures from the front line, making videos. And the last one is, don't forget, oh yeah, that's behind the scenes. So how the modern offices look of our team, that it ceased to be some sort of a, well, very traditional bureaucratic room full of doors. It's an open space, and it's important to provide genuine communication. The last one, don't forget about the puppies and the kittens, because they work really well, and actually the Ministry of Defense Facebook page, Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, has a separate album devoted to animals who help the troops and who are at the front line as well. With this, thank you very much, and I hope that if you have any questions, I will be happy to help. Thank you.